Rachel, take it away.
Hey everyone. So my name is Rachel Coyle. I know lots of you from lots of different things, how things work at the State House and Honesty for Ohio Education. But I'm here today to tell you about one. We're definitely going to talk about lame duck too. So if there's bills you care about, happy to do that. But I'm here to talk about a new group that I know several of you have been interested in that I am helping to get started called Ohioans Against Extremism. So I have always been very against the idea of starting new organizations because Ohio has so many great issue orgs already. And so this one was really, it spoke to me because it's a different type of group that really fills a gap that we've started noticing. So I'm going to put some links in the chat while I talk. But basically, Ohio has many amazing issue advocacy groups. Most of them are 501c3 nonprofits. So a lot of times, which is where a lot of the the funding is, because these groups are able to be nonpartisan. They often go in and meet with legislators to try and make bills less bad or get good bills passed. And they do a lot of great work. But because they are this type of nonprofit, there's a lot of things they can't say. So they end up having to be kinder to the people who are the bad guys than I would like to be. And so this group, Ohioans Against Extremism, is also a nonprofit, but it's a 501c4, which allows us to be a lot more political and a lot more direct in naming the bad actors. So one of the things we've noticed in the last couple of years is for example, during the school board races in 2023, there were lots of individuals who would very easily be defined as extremists. And a lot of great organizations were doing the work to figure out who the candidates were and who the candidates were that aligned with their values, but no one felt comfortable creating a list and labeling people as extremists. So I actually ended up doing that just in my free time, like a maniac. And this group will allow me to do that kind of thing as part of my job, like during the workday. It's started by Maria Bruno, who left Equality Ohio because she got really frustrated with that same problem where they had to play nice with all these really dangerous people who are harming our communities. And I'm contracting with them. So it's been a ton of fun so far. We really are just figuring it out as we go. But we've got this website. We're all over social media now. And our goal is to never replicate something that's already happening. If any of our partners are doing the work already, we'll lift it up. We will amplify it. But if there's ever a gap where partners, because they are nonpartisan, nonprofits are not able to say the thing that needs to be said or point fingers, that kind of thing, will be comfortable saying it because this organization will not be going in and meeting with legislators. So we'll hopefully be able to fill a gap that's really been there in the nonprofit space. So it's been a lot of fun. One of the big things we've been able to do so far is we've been made this lame duck tracker that I'm going to put in the chat. It also has a website link now. Yeah, free time is a lie, but my evenings. So this is our lame duck tracker. And I've made this every lame duck cycle for the last several cycles, but I've always done it again in my free time. And this organization, Ohioans Against Extremism, has allowed me to do this work during the day as a contractor. So I can focus more time on it. I can update it several times a day instead of just a couple times a week. It's really been wonderful to be able to give this resource to people and give it the attention it deserves. If you don't like sharing Google links, it actually has a web link now that is lameduck.wtf, which I think is hilarious and the perfect way to link to this document.
And
Uh,
we put that in this week's list. Thank you very much, Rachel, because
Wonderful.
all the State House PDF that you get as a Thursday Action Group member, I've replaced the Google Doc with the new WTF URL. So when you go to the Ohio State House document, the PDF, it'll be sort of up to the top, and it's going to be highlighted in yellow to say lame duck session, and Rachel's new thing will be there. So thank you so much for putting that in.
Yes, thank you for linking to it. That's so exciting.
Good.
And yeah, that's the basic is if the basic of this new organization, we'd love to have folks sign up for emails, follow them on social media, but I'm also happy to answer any questions you have about the group too.
Great. Just go ahead and raise your hand if you've got a question for Rachel. Yeah, Julie.
Rachel, I love the explanation of why you're going for a C4, but how does that impact funding contributions to pay contractors like you, for instance, who have
Yeah, a great question. So there's definitely less funding for 501(c)(4)s, which is why I think a lot of groups become 501(c)(3)s. But so far, we've been able to get funding from existing organizations that are frustrated that they can't be the ones saying, like naming names. So a lot of unions, because they have to go in and be nice to the legislators who are harming their communities. So that has been, but it's all very new. It's all been very like experimental and educational for me and for Maria to figure out where this funding can come from.
aren't aren't C4s also often a source of dark money or
Yeah. So you can do
sorry, I would say for dark money.
yeah, so you could do a super PAC as a C4 and get donors that way and not disclose your donors. We have not been cool enough to start a super PAC yet, but we could do that if we wanted to.
I might just recommend that you consider donating to Ohioans Against Extremism, and the website will be in your. I'll do the follow up, and you'll have it in there along with the recording. So please consider donating.
Thank you so much. That'd be amazing. Just put the donate link in the chat as well.
Anybody else have a question for Rachel? Okay, Karen Lee.
Yeah, hi. Rachel, I've been in a couple of the meetings where you've spoken as well, and we follow you. I'm over in Athens, Greece, and I'm part of Democrats Abroad
Nice.
around the world. But we have an Ohio team. And so trying to get our members to wake up and follow people they need to follow and so forth. I always want to check when Deb sends these things out. I know she sends them out on her indivisible Thursday Action Group feed, but I want to make sure that it's okay to share your link and perhaps the lame duck tracker for sure with the Democrats Abroad Ohio group and people.
Yes, please do. Everything I do is public. I do that on purpose so that it's always shareable. Our Facebook group, How Things Work at the State House, is shareable. All these Google Docs are. And it means we're going to get some trolls, it means we're going to get some people who are not supportive of the mission or the issue area, but it really helps, I think, to expand the reach. So yeah, feel free to share anything I post.
Okay, that's really cool. Thank you. And I don't mind trolls myself
Me
until
either.
they become horribly bothersome, because I always think of them as triggers for the message that you wanted to give to the other less informed folks in answering a troll. Sometimes you can do that. I did have
Yeah.
another question. One of the things that we're struggling with right now, because I'm comms chair for Democrats Abroad Greece, but part of the global comms group of comms chairs. And what we're looking at too is we've got a lot of different ways that we get our internal information. It makes us really crazy. At the same time, what we do for outreach seems to be, Facebook and the places where our folks go. And what we realized in this election cycle is that the people who voted in ways that we weren't so happy about, they've been getting information from some other dark spaces and ads on the wrestling matches and I suppose the Ironman competitions. And so if somehow linking up together, if you're doing some research, are you going to be able to maybe find some other ways to get that message out beyond the silo that we're in? I guess that's the question.
Yes, and that is such an important question. Is one of the things I've noticed, for example, we just started on YouTube, and Democratic groups, progressive groups are not on YouTube, and it is just constant barrage of ads from folks who disagree with me. And so that's one of the reasons I started getting on there, because there has to be someone speaking to that group. There's also, I helped my grandma a couple weeks ago unsubscribe from lots of spam emails she was getting. And all of the spam emails were from fake conservative news sites that were feeding her lies about Nancy Pelosi running like secret underground child sex trafficking rings, like madness, but it looks, and it's coming to your inbox, so it looks like news. And that's the kind of thing that progressives just don't do. And we don't know what's happening unless we go into these spaces. So yes, a big part of what we're trying to do is figure out where people are and how to reach them, even if it means just talking to trolls at first. So yeah, if there's any interest in, I don't know how we're going to fund that kind of research. It's mostly just going to be trial and error at first. But if there's any interest from your group in helping with more official types of research, I'd definitely be interested in that.
Oh, so
What
you
we can
you
do,
do
'cause-
accept volunteers then for that kind of work? Is that what
Yes, we accept volunteers for sure. Let me send there's this volunteer sign up link. Yes. And then there's also a community partner interest form if you have a group, even like a grassroots organization, to sign up and work with us as well. So I'm going to put both of those in.
Great. I think Karen still has another question, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was really a question, but I hope as you were helping your grandmother clear those things out, that you saved them, because it seems to me that that's where we go to find the trolls to answer. I mean, if they're still up, why not use them? Why not troll the trolls? I mean, it's a little dangerous, but
No, it's true. I wrote down the websites because I want to look them up.
great,
They
excellent.
were fascinating.
Are you a Sagittarius?
I am an Aries, but I don't know what that means.
That's a fire sign. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like some of us though are seem to be obsessed with making notes of everything that we shouldn't bother filling our computers with. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put my email in the chat too if you have specific ideas or if your organization wants to do something specific, and you can email me and I'll see if Maria is up for it.
Great.
We're building a boat while we drive it, but it's been fun.
It'll take a while.
That's great.
Thank you.
I just sorry to interrupt, but somebody is on iPhone and we don't know who it is. So if you could let us know who you are, and then put your name in the chat, that would be great. I can't see a name, so who's the iPhone person? Hello? Is somebody coming to us from from an iPhone? Okay, well, whoever that is, if you could put your name in the chat, I'd appreciate it.
Can you see my name?
Yeah, we can. I can see you, Linda.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, it's just
'Cause
there's just one person.
I can't see me.
Yeah, right. There's just one person we can't see. Okay. Oh, George is on an iPhone, but George is coming 2 places, so that's what it is. Okay, no problem. I just wanted to know. Thank you very much. Who else has a question?
This is Karen Sotosanti.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Just a quick follow-up on what Rachel was saying about sharing things online. I've often wondered that about sharing things like on my personal accounts, not an organizational account, but a personal account, because I have folks in my friends group who may not follow organizations, but they'll see what I post. But I don't know if that's okay or if that's just inviting like abuse from online trolls and stuff.
So the honest answer is it is very effective to post on your personal page, make it a public post, and then you're talking to people who you may be the only political content they get. But it does invite, if it's a public post, there is always the likelihood that someone could find it and comment or say rude things. And so it really has to be a personal decision, how much of that you can handle, how much of that you're in a space to deal with. One other thing I will say, like the reason I keep my How Things Work page public is that it boosts the algorithm every time somebody posts a comment, even if it's a negative comment. So every time I get a troll, it shows my post to more people on more feeds because Facebook's algorithm thinks that post is popular. So it's a terrible way to live because you're constantly having to deal with people saying really rude and mean things, but it also helps you reach more people. So it has to be a personal decision on what you're willing to deal with because it's a lot.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to, and my posts are just like friends only, like
Right.
not public, but I just didn't want to be sending horrible trolls your way if I,
Oh,
posted
I don't
on
mind.
mine.
Feel
Okay.
free. It's entirely up to you how many trolls you want to handle, but I get them all the time. I don't mind them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm wondering about this similar thing. I've noticed the last week or so, mostly, I have had several of my posts taken down. They've always been articles
Mhm.
that, it's like, oh, this is, this goes against community standards. It'd be like
Yep.
Hartman or, and I'm like, and I ask it every time I ask it to be reviewed.
Mhm.
And oftentimes I've had them reinstate it. Well, not since the election, though. They've taken them off and haven't been, it's like, nope.
Yep.
And if you keep doing it, we're going to take you off of Facebook kind of thing.
Yep.
It's this implied threat. And it's like, I am reposting an article that was written by a respected person here. So
Yep.
what is your advice about what to do about that?
I have had very similar experiences, and I also get alerts a lot of times that my posts were removed because it looks like I was trying to get likes or clicks. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point of being here. I don't really know. But so it's new, and it's definitely like automated. And Facebook does not really have a way to request a human review. Some of the other platforms do, like TikTok actually does restore a lot of videos if you tell them that they're calculating wrong. But so far I haven't figured out what to do about the Facebook post, because it's been very troubling. And for me, it's been articles and links to official, like, credible sources. I think it's just they've tried to strengthen their algorithm and it's gotten some people caught up. I hope that's what it is rather than malicious, but yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure yet.
I just thought, seems to be more aggressive since the election.
Yes.
And
I
I
think
I
so
know that could be my paranoia kicking in, I don't know, but I
too.
also wondered, a lot of people are moving over to Blue Sky, and I'm wondering what you think about that.
Yes. So I am also on Blue Sky because it seems like everyone is there, but I will not leave the other platforms because I really think there is a danger in creating a bubble for ourselves where we're only talking to each other. I see the benefit in going to a place where it's not full of trolls and bots and terrible people for like a breath of fresh air, but I feel like I really want as many of us who are comfortable doing it to stay on the other platforms too and just cross post so that our friends and neighbors who may only get good political news from us don't lose that source. So it's got to be a personal decision because I know some people are just dealing with too much to also handle trolls, but I'm going to be on Blue Sky and everywhere else is the goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anybody else have a question? Or yeah, Janie.
I just have a comment. I agree with that, Rachel. I also am so glad that so many thousands of people have left X as a statement. And I'm glad you're still there. I just could not support him in any way. But I do see the value of what you're saying, and kudos to you. I don't mind anybody that disagrees with me. I mean, I have no problem with that sort of thing. I personally just have had a hard time supporting the man.
Yep. That makes total sense. And he does. I mean, I have to agree to give him money
Right.
and credibility by
Yes.
sitting there. And that I hate it. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
anyone who leaves, that makes total sense too. It really does.
And I'm glad you're there. I am. I kudos. You know,
You're tough.
you're and it's honestly, I have no problem with the people that have a difference of opinion, and I can be respectful. My whole thing was my entire family was like, "When are you getting off of there?" No, extended family. So,
And it is. I mean, yeah, it's moving towards where in order to get any kind of attention to your post, you're going to have to pay at least
yeah,
$8 a month to Elon
yeah,
Musk, which is
yeah.
the worst. So it really is. I go back and forth with it. I feel like I have to stay because I've got a large following on there, but it's anyone who leaves, I completely respect that decision as well.
Well, thank you for staying on.
Yeah.
It's, It's a wild time over there. Like every time I post a personal photo on there, I get like really racist comments, and it's just
Yeah.
all bad.
I saw a post today, and I wasn't sure what to make of it. It was calling for unity, and it was by somebody who was, I think, rather liberal. I didn't know the person, but it was passed on by somebody that I know is liberal. And it was saying, we need to go for unity, and say it to yourself. And, and my response was, okay, everybody wants unity, but what do we unify around? Do we, unify around the rule of law, the Constitution, caring for other people that are less fortunate? Do we go around, just stomping on everybody and filling billionaires' pockets? I mean, what is there that would unify people just saying we're going to be unified? And I really am hard pressed to understand that and know. I mean, I at heart I'm a peacemaker,
Mhm.
but if you are taking away the civil rights of my neighbor,
Yep.
then I can't say that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I struggle with that too, because that's part of the problem that I've seen since the election is Republicans don't seem to punish their candidates and politicians when they just openly lie and when they go really low with like insults and name calling. But Democratic voters still do that, which like makes there less options for things we can fight back with. And there's been this call for like working across the aisle where possible, which we should definitely do, but that lets Donald Trump be normalized because it's pretending he's a regular politician. And I really wish that there was a little bit less unity right now in terms of like accepting that there's been Nazis marching through Columbus, and it is. Yeah, exactly. We can't unify with Nazis, but it is going to be something to explain, I think, to a lot of folks on our side that like not unifying is actually how you resist.
Mhm.
And that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for a lot of people like my parents' generation. They hated the idea that a politician would use name calling, that they want us all to work together. They want to feel like they can vote for Republicans down ballot because that feels right. And so it's going to take a while to explain to people that we're now in a place where you just can't accept
Yeah.
something like Nazis as normal.
Mike's got something, I
Yeah,
think. Thank you.
that's exactly what I was going to ask or say with how do we keep from allowing normalization?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking back on a post that our daughter sent us. I think that the coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, says,
Mhm.
okay, who openly was opposed to Donald Trump as being president. Well, then his comment, of course, he's going to be asked after the election, how do you feel about it now? Well,
Yep.
then he kind of made a joke about, well, at least in this election, we didn't have droves of rapists coming across the border and voting in the election. And that's really, it kind of made it, he made it subtle, not so subtle joke about it. But then he at some point in his commentary, if anybody heard it, he said, well, I would like to see him do well. I'd like to see him make America great again. And that struck me as okay. I mean, kind of a normalization statement.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And that's what we're all, I guess, struggling with, or what you're saying. We, work across the aisle. We'd like to see a lot more of that. But I think we see the willingness on one side and very often no willingness on the other. And how do we deal with that?
And working across the aisle, not just for the sake of working across the aisle, but working across the aisle on issues that are legitimate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That's been like the incoming Congress who is transgender, who is telling everyone that what we're going to have to do, and it's her decision, is accept these new congressional rules that the transgender person cannot use the bathroom of their gender identity. That's considered working across the aisle. But it's also it's caving. So
Yeah.
there's so much there. It's really so Tim Snyder,
Yeah.
the guy who wrote that amazing book on tyranny, if you haven't read it yet, he's great on social media too. Literally the number one rule is do not comply in advance. And I really think we're going to have to keep reciting that to ourselves. Like the idea that we absolutely, like, where there is the possibility to work together with Republicans to fight back against overt fascism or to make the world a better place, like we should keep doing that. But working across the aisle, it does not mean giving them what they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really hard for people of my parents' generation who are used to politics being polite and friendly and
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Well, and I think
It's a lot.
your parents' generation is also our generation, a lot of us here.
Yeah.
And of course, we are veterans of peace marches and whatnot.
Yep.
But at the same time, we were also fighting the civil rights fights.
Yep.
So I think it sort of depends, and it's a very fine line to walk. But I hate to see that. I understand that Joe and Mika went down to Mar-a-Lago
Yeah.
to try to, you know, keep MSNBC from being off the air. And there are a lot of little examples. You can call it whatever you want, but gosh, is that complying in advance? You know,
I think it is. Yes. I think it's trying to make Donald Trump look like he's not trying to end all of our systems that we've put in place. And it really, I'm hoping that what I'm seeing on social media where they are losing viewership is going to have an impact on them.
hope so. Cheryl Grossman has her hand up. Welcome, Cheryl.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say there's a difference between knuckling under and working across the aisle. And I hate to see all the knuckling under I'm seeing right now.
I agree.
Just a comment.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. It is different, and it's hard to distinguish what the difference is. And we're entering a phase where we're going to have to pick our battles, right? Like we're not going to be able to fight every fight. And some of the times I think it's going to feel like complying. It's all just so much. I don't know any of the answers yet, but I'm glad we're all having these discussions now so that when the big policies start happening, we've figured out what we're going to do.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, I'm not sure. Leah, do you have a comment or just you're agreeing? She's got a thumbs up here.
Just agreeing, sorry.
Oh, no problem. It was a thumbs up. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a comment that I was missing. Okay, Linda has her hand up. Linda. I think you're still muted.
This is weird because I cannot see me on the screen like I usually can.
Click on your video.
Where is the video?
It should be the bottom to the left as you're facing your screen, I think. There you go. Yes, we see you. All right.
Okay. It seems like they don't like what we have, so they want to tear it all down. But do they realize that what they're going to do is the way that they're tearing everything apart so that we don't have laws and systems that work means that whatever Trump wants is what we're going to have, no matter what they want. Trump is going to take over, and they're not going to have any way to, if they don't agree with everything he does, they're not going to have any way to do anything against it.
Yep. And I do think that's a big part of it is people do not believe that Trump is actually going to dismantle our systems. They don't believe that he is going to be dangerous in the way that fascist governments are dangerous. They think that that is people overreacting. They think it's people being just partisan. And so they are hesitant to do things like the action I just put in the chat. This bill in Congress, HR 9495, would allow Trump to essentially get rid of nonprofit organizations that he disagrees with. But people in Congress and a lot of people in America are struggling to believe he'd actually use it that way. And so there are people who are struggling to fight back because they feel like it's overreacting. And I don't know how to reach those people.
I think it's
Uh,
rough. I
and-
wonder how many of them can look back at the 30s Germany and see the parallels, but I don't think they are.
Mhm.
They're
Carol,
young,
and then
they
Karen.
haven't experienced it.
Right.
Right. Right.
Um,
We weren't there. We don't remember. All we learn about in history is like the last couple years of it, but nobody talks about how we got there slowly over time, the like frog in boiling water metaphor. And that is, I think, scary for me because I don't know how to reach people like that.
Yeah, sure.
I have a
Sure.
dear friend who, we were talking about the number one, issue one, and he was voting against it and I was voting it for it. I was trying to talk to him about why he that it was wrong. And he says, but I'm a Republican and I want to keep it Republican. And I'm going to go back and talk to him some more because he might find out that being a Republican is not really being a Republican under Trump.
Yes,
I'll shut up now.
I think that's an argument that might actually be effective. It actually worked with a couple of my older relatives. The idea that Trump's Republican Party is not the Republican Party they want to be a part of. Trump's Republican Party is big government taking away states' rights if they don't like what the states are doing. It's the nanny state, which is the exact opposite, I think, of what Republicans want. And so we have to like argue that way rather than we want you to come over and be a Democrat. It's just this party is not the Republican Party. This is something new and dangerous.
There's a
Right.
Jim Hartman who wants to talk.
Well, we've got two other people that have their hands up, and then we'll go to Jim. I think Cheryl, and then Karen, and then Jim.
Quick comment. I've considered the Americans really were like fish voting against water. They don't realize because it's always been there, and that they it's something that's just normal. People, I've seen more Republicans and even MAGAs say, oh, well, we'll just vote on that. It's like, well, no, maybe you won't, because maybe you won't have the opportunity to. Do you get the idea of dictatorship at all?
Yep. But people are really struggling to believe it'll get that bad. And everybody who says it could get that bad, they say are overreacting. And so it's more like, I think we have to talk about it in terms of broader than Donald Trump, like any potential future person who wants to be a dictator would be stopped by this bill. So we should pass this bill rather than saying this bill would stop Donald Trump.
Good point. I think it's going to be Karen, and then Jim, and then Sylvia. Karen?
Yep. I'm lowering my hand. I can't believe I did it. Yeah, I wanted to add the vote. I think there's been 2 and maybe 3 votes in the House about the bill to do away with, or that he could do away with nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we I've had 3 or 4 emails at least saying, write them and bang them and urge them and push them. And I look back at 2006 when Sherrod was still in the House and he had to vote on the MCAA, the Military Commissions Act funding bill, and he voted in favor of it. And I wrote him a starchy letter telling him how he was wrong. And then I stepped back from it and realized it was going to pass by about 2/3 majority, no matter how he voted.
Right.
And what he did, he was in the Senate race at that point with DeWine, and he took it right off of DeWine's plate. There was no way that DeWine could say, Sherrod voted against our troops.
Right.
And so, sometimes those votes are political. Sometimes in the case of this one, it looked as though people were afraid of people that were in the oh, I won't get the letters right. The B, what is it? Something in divest. Anyhow, the movement against, Israel, or is it seen by AIPAC against Israel? And they wanted to be on record as not supporting that kind of nonprofit. So, stepping back from it sometimes helps instead of simply being outraged. We have to see that some of our people are smart enough to play games. And while it's hateful that they have to do that, nonetheless, that's what they sometimes have to do to keep being in there to carry on the fight.
For sure.
A good point.
Did you
Jim
all see the notes?
I'm sorry?
Did you all see the notes about Gates?
Yeah, apparently Gates just removed his bid to be AG. That's big.
Oh, really? Interesting. No, I hadn't. I did see the thing about Huffman getting unanimous approval from the Republicans. That was disappointing. but
It was
hey,
also an accident.
oh,
The guy who was going to run against him, apparently there was a mix up on who was going to nominate him, and then no one did. And so no one ran against Matt Huffman,
oh, is
which
that
is
why?
wild. So
Okay.
there's a potential for shenanigans in January, just like
Oh,
with
good,
the
good.
last race. So if anybody knows Allison Russo, tell her we're looking for
Yes.
some shenanigans.
Yeah, well, I will. Yes, I was hoping that was the case, but the good. Linda said that Jim Hartman had a comment. Jim, do you have? I didn't see your hand up, but if you have a comment,
Yeah,
go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, because
Welcome.
I don't see my video. It's
Yeah, click on, go way down at the bottom to the left. There should be a little video thing. Just click on it. Then we can see you.
well, I guess it doesn't matter as long
It's
as
okay. We can hear you. No problem.
and so I couldn't find this in the email that you sent me like the other day, but I tried to offer an opinion about the bathroom bill to the Governor DeWine. And I called this 3555 number. I got like I left a message. I don't think anyone's really going to get back with me. Then I looked on like the governor's official site on the state of Ohio. When I tried to leave a message on there, my antivirus software kept me from like responding. So I reverted to this this little URL in Debbie's email. I don't see that in here. And I did offer my suggestion, which is veto, veto, veto. It's like ridiculous. And so I guess ultimately my question is, so is that still pending? Is he still thinking about it?
He is still thinking about it. He is expected to sign it, but he hasn't yet. So I think we've got until it's going to be like the day before Thanksgiving that his 10 days to decide are up, but he is expected to sign it. It's very frustrating that Governor DeWine constantly keeps his voicemail full. So I actually have started compiling, and I just put it in the chat, a spreadsheet of contact information for his top staffers as well. So we can if you choose to work for the governor, you are open to this. This is my opinion. But if you want to contact his top staffers as well, tell them to push for a veto. That will get to him because his staffers will be annoyed, which is the whole point. You want the governor and be like, oh my God, everybody's calling my phone, my work phone, telling me to veto this bill. That's how we reach him. So if anyone's interested in doing that, that's another option.
It's interesting
you.
because like 6 months or so ago, before the election or anything, I tried to just make an appointment to see him about something not even political. And I got like I sent an email, I got a couple of responses, but it never really went anywhere. So much for government of, by, and for the people, I guess.
Yep.
I may as well talk to the statue out in front of the State House, President McKinley. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
guess we have to keep on plugging. Sylvia, thank you very much. Jim, welcome to our group. We're really glad to have you. Jim is one of our new members. And we've got, see, I'm thinking he might be the only brand new one here today, but it's
Wow.
great to have you. Also, Sylvia has had her hand up. She's been very patient. Sylvia, go for it.
I'm just so impressed with everybody and what y'all are all doing and have been doing. And I thank you. I'm not able to be as involved as I was back in 2016 and before we moved here, but really appreciate everything everybody's doing. And one thing that I just kind of would like some feedback. We've kind of discussed this, but where I find my ability, it's to like when Indivisible was starting up with their new guide and all that, I was sending emails to people that I knew had the same opinion, the same way of thinking that I did. And I just sent out emails to people all across the country, letting them know about it. And there were people that then are interested, and say, in fact, I had one friend that she says, well, I'm not really sure about it, but I'll give it a try. And then as soon as the program was over that night, she texted me and she said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was hoping it would be. It wasn't anything like what I was afraid it might be. So that's one way that I'm able to do things. But I don't understand, which all of us, I think, have this problem. I'm going, this person and this person, this person, they are good people. I know they are not racist. I know they're not anti-Semitic. What is going on? And what the few of them that have responded to me have said, oh, like what somebody was saying, he's not going to do that. In fact, I had somebody in my post on Facebook say, oh, there's just, maybe 3 things or so are going to change. And I'm going, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking, so what I've done to a few of my friends who I really feel like I can talk to is I've said, I hope that everything goes the way. I'm not telling you voted right or wrong, that's fine, but just start paying attention. And I don't know if planting that seed will help or not, but that's based on how I can do things. I am so impressed with you, Rachel, that you can go on there and you can actually read all that stuff. I can't even on my page. I said, this is my page, y'all. If you don't agree, I say it nice with this, but if you don't agree, don't respond. I just can't handle it. I have this threshold to do all that.
No, we all do our activism in different ways. And the fact that you're talking to your friends, like your friends wouldn't listen to me. They don't know me, but they know you. And so you telling them to maybe just start paying attention. See, I hope you're right. I hope nothing changes, but pay attention to see if it does. That's huge. That's the kind of thing we're going to have to do is like when things pass that most Ohioans and most Americans hate, we need to let people know it's occurring. That's what in our state house trainings, my co-founder Bethany, we call it losing loudly. She always says that like if you can't do the good thing and you can't stop the bad thing, what's left is telling people who's doing the bad thing. And so that you can create this lasting memory. And that is what you're doing. And so that's huge. And not everybody needs to be sitting on Twitter dealing with, but if we all together do little bits of things like talk to our friends and get them to pay attention, that's all we can do.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree that is huge, that we do things in little ways that we can, and sometimes they're big ways, but a lot of the little ones we might not credit how important they are. And I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we don't do anything. Yeah. And that's not a good option. Right now, we don't have the option of not doing anything. But we each have different capacities and we have different circles, but all those circles intersect. And if you just look at social media, like if you put somebody out there and they'll say they're friends with 5 other people that you're friends with or whatever, you can see how those circles go. And that's a big deal. So I think we should not discount what we think of as little steps, because they're all important.
One thing that happened that totally surprised me is my sister, who before 2016, she didn't vote. She thought all politicians were crooked. Our parents were Republicans. And, here I am kind of really an independent, but leaning towards the Democratic way of looking at things. And so after Trump, now she keeps, she's really gotten engaged, but I'm saying, but you're looking, I mean, I can only handle so much of the negative. I said, if that makes you feel comfortable and you need to share it, okay, but realize I have only a limited amount. But I did let her know about that indivisible meeting that was that last Wednesday night. And she actually got on the phone call. And as soon as it was over, she called me and she says, "Oh, that was great." Now, as of right now, she does not plan. It's not in her personality to get out there and do anything. But the fact that she got on that call, I just told her, I said, kudos to you. I said, that is a big step.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to encourage her with the idea of, rather than just going, "Oh my gosh, can you believe it? He did this, he did that." Just going, if you can do something and be with people who have like mind, it is so helpful to stay from being
Yes.
negative.
The next thing she could do if she wanted to keep going but not do actions yet, she could follow them on social media. And so she's getting the information. One of the groups I'm trying to get people to follow if they've never done politics before is Red, Wine, and Blue, which they're amazing. They're set up for like suburban moms who've never cared about politics before, but they don't like the way the country's going. And so you can just get people to attend Red, Wine, and Blue events, and they're virtual. They're fun. They keep them light and happy and positive. And it really is little things to get people just paying attention. I think
in Mississippi, is there, and I've wondered about like even this group, Mississippi. So, she's not going to be doing, well, I mean, a lot of that stuff you can do. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. So Red, Wine, and Blue, they're national. They have a couple state groups. So like they have an Ohio chapter, but a lot of their meetings, I just put the link in the chat. A lot of their meetings and events are virtual.
Right.
And
I went to one the other day about whatever. Yeah.
They will always they will always be in the events, the list of events, Sylvia, that I send out every week, the main email. I always check Red, Wine, and Blue every week to see what events are coming up. So they will be there, and you can share the links with your sister.
Even though she's in Mississippi or something.
Yes. Yeah. One of their next events coming up is a national one, and it's how to deal with MAGA relatives during the holidays.
Okay. And the other thing is that now, as far as finding an indivisible group, I doubt if I know the one in Huntsville, Alabama looks like they deactivated, but I've been in communication with several. That's where I had lived for 42 years. I've been in contact with several of them, and they're saying, "Oh, we're working towards to get it starting back again," because it was a very active indivisible group down there in Huntsville, Madison County, Alabama. The other thing is that it was interesting is today I said, well, I'm going to first go to the that I haven't been attending that much recently, but I'm trying to make time more to do it, is to this meeting. And then I told her, and then I said it later on after this when I'm going to go to the indivisible question and answer. And she says, "Oh, what time is that?" And so I told her the time, which that totally surprised me. And she goes, "Oh, well, I've got a doctor's appointment." But it sounds like, I mean, that's it. I guess you just kind of help people. You can't force anybody to do anything, but if you just kind of help them. So, okay, I will get some of this and some of what Debbie sends out, particularly animals. I know that she's big on animal protection. So if ever anything that, please let me kind of point it out to me, because that would be really get her interested. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for doing the little things. The interpersonal relationships are everything. That's how we're going to get through to people beyond all of this madness that they're seeing and all their social media platforms. Like talking to people who know you, that's going to be how we do it.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else have question for Rachel? I think she would like to tell us a little bit about some of the lame duck things, and I know I'm very interested to hear some of her take on the lame duck progress so far.
Oh, lame duck. It's madness. I'm going to put the tracker again in the chat. So it is ongoing. We are hoping that they're going to give us next week off for themselves to have Thanksgiving. That's the dream.
That was a question I had. I didn't see any committee meetings coming up for this week. Is that going to be holding?
I think so. I mean, we'll know for sure like by the end of tomorrow, but it's currently the current belief is that they're going to give themselves all of next week off for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Which would be really nice so we can reset. But at the moment, there are several good bills that have a chance to pass. And I've really been focusing on those because people need positive actions to take. So there's several bills that need phone calls that I think have a real shot. All the bills in the tracker are things that actually have a chance at moving. There's a lot of bills that matter that are not in there because they're just not going anywhere. And then there's a couple really bad bills that are coming. Those tend to happen slightly later in the process. So the one that we've been fighting right now is the RTRI LifeWise bill. That bill is incredibly dangerous for lots of reasons. And I know that the House doesn't have much interest in passing it. And so that's why it's now moving in the Senate. So that's actually good that we've got some Republicans who are not interested in moving that bill. We just have to make sure that they don't get conned into it. And then there are a couple really bad attacks on voting rights that are moving. Senator Gavarone just introduced a new bill that would ban all ballot drop boxes and do a lot of other things. So that's really bad. That one is likely to move. There are several bills that we are watching. Let me pull this up here. Let's see. So one of the big things is HB 8. That bill's been around for a while. It would heavily restrict teaching content that's considered like inappropriate or sexual, but it doesn't define those terms. So it could end up being anytime there's a gay character, a book gets banned, that kind of thing. So that bill, the fear with that one is that they're going to throw a bunch of other bills into that and pass it as a massive, they call it a Christmas tree bill. Think of like ornaments on a tree. So the fear is that they're going to put the LifeWise bill and that new bill banning colleges from asking about pronouns and a whole bunch of other things all into that HB 8. So that is something we're watching. But at the moment, there's a lot of bad bills that are hanging out that they haven't moved, and a lot of the good bills are moving forward. So at the moment, at least for now, it's nice to be able to give people positive calls to make. And then we just have to know to watch all the bad stuff when we head into December.
I was going to ask you about SB 83, which we've been able to put off for so far.
Mhm.
But if Huffman does get the House majority, I mean the speakership,
Yep.
then is that a done deal if he gets it? Do you think?
Not a done deal, because the fact that we've been able to stop it for what is now a year and a half is unbelievable. It makes no sense that we've been able to stop this bill for this long. And it's because there's enough of a push that the Republicans, some of them are nervous about passing it. The thing that's going to be interesting is if we can stop it this year, they'll have to reintroduce it next year. And Serino, the sponsor, he's so angry that it hasn't passed that he said he's going to bring it back so much worse next year with like all the anti-union, anti-worker stuff put back in it, which is going to make it harder to pass it. So it's a fascinating world where like the egos involved could actually help us.
Well, Stephen said he wasn't going to bring it to the floor.
Yes. So it seems that it's going to die this year, and then we're going to get the much, much worse version next year.
Okay.
But that would be a huge victory that we can celebrate. And if it's worse, there will be more people angry about it that we can get. Right. So, it'll probably pass eventually, but I'm not giving up yet.
Good. Okay, that's good to hear. What are the good bills that you were talking about that we should concentrate on?
Oh yeah, there's some great ones. Let's see. So, one is SB 198. This is a Republican bill. It would provide inmates with state ID cards and documentation to help them. The goal of it is to get people back to work after they get out of jail or prison, but those ID cards could be used for voting, which is so good on multiple levels. There is HB 333, which is bipartisan. It would ban police from using ticket quotas and arrest quotas, so they're not out there looking for people to arrest. That would be lovely. We've got Madeline's Law. That's HB 152. It would require insurance to cover hearing aids for kids under 21, because right now those are considered cosmetic, which is madness. And so a lot of insurances don't cover them. There is, let's see. Oh yeah, HB 256 would let Ohioans become organ donors if they're applying for a hunting or fishing license. I love that one. There's a couple education ones at site. You're gonna be shooting yourself. It is. There's a couple education ones too that are great. So there's the HB 164, which would create a program to help students in foster care get to college and pay for college. So I love that one. And then there is the Crown Act, HB 178, which would ban discrimination against natural hairstyles in schools and workplaces and lots of public buildings. And so there's a lot of really good things that we could do that would improve a lot of people's lives that just don't get news attention, and so people don't know they're happening. But it would be great things for our state if we could get some of these passed.
Oh, I have a question about that. I've been trying to, like, 1 week highlight good bills and the next week highlight the bad bills. Is that a good strategy, or would it be best at this stage of the game to just concentrate on one or the other?
No, I think we're going to need to focus on both. And so what I've been doing each week is pick like 1 to 3 bills that make you
Right.
or your members the most passionate. It can be
Right.
like 1 good bill and 2 bad bills, or 2,
Okay.
yeah. And then just focus on those, because it is a very overwhelming list. So you got to pick a few out, but you don't have to focus on just good or just bad.
Okay. Okay. Just one, that's what I'm just kind of mixing them up a bit, but I guess, wondered how much, whether that's a strategy that would be best for us to do, but we'll mix them up. I think we've got Julie, and then just Julie. Go for it.
I wanted to say that Deb Marshall, I think, was identifying herself as another new person when we mentioned Jim Hartman.
Oh, great. Hi,
And
Debbie. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Welcome. This is great.
also in the chat, she has a question about she can't get a link to work or links to work. And I think that's a question for Rachel, because I think we have somebody who's very eager to get going on harassing.
I'm motivated. Yes.
So I didn't want the session to end without
Thank
getting
you.
it resolved.
Links on the bill numbers to work. Okay, so are you on a phone or are you on a computer?
I'm on my computer.
Okay, so if you click on the link, a bookmark should come up, and then you click that and it takes you lower in the document. Let me know if there's one where that's not happening.
Okay. It did that. I was clicking over on the right and it was just copying the link. So my incompetence, I'm not a Google Docs pro. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. I need to figure out, I wish there was a way to do this kind of document on a website, but so far I have not found a way to do the click to a lower part of the document on a website.
Thank you though. You set me, yeah. So I just click on the word bookmark and then it'll take me down to another area. So thank you.
Thanks. Sylvia's got her hand up again. You're muted, Sylvia.
Yeah, thank you. You might have talked about this some, but it was such a convoluted bill or whatever about the against gerrymandering.
Mm-hmm.
How did that, what I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, was that people who were against gerrymandering were voting no because of how it was all written. Is that, and how do we get the information out? I mean, not just we, but how is that information gotten out? Because I never can understand what they're asking, what it's saying. I have to wait and find somebody, that I trust. Sometimes I've even asked Debbie, what does this mean?
And that is what happened this time, where the Republicans across Ohio who opposed gerrymandering, who would have voted for it, they didn't understand it because it was long and convoluted and the language was written illegally. So they looked for their Republican lawmakers for advice, and all the Republicans told them to vote against it. And then in Ohio, or with the Democratic side, that's why they wrote the ballot language so literally illegally, so partisan, to make it look like if you oppose gerrymandering, you want to vote no. And then that went to the Ohio Supreme Court, and of course they are also in the same pockets as the legislators, so they kept that language there, which openly violates our state constitution. And so Ohioans, I heard from many people who are on my side of the issue, who wanted who signed the petition to ban gerrymandering, the issue 1 petition, who ended up voting no because they got in to vote on election day and they saw the language and it looked like if you oppose gerrymandering, you should vote no. It really is. It's one of those situations that's hard because we are living in a state that is not a full democracy anymore. And it's one of those moments where you really realize that. But
I did hear it correctly. Then that's what my impression had been, was that it wasn't just Democrats or whatever that wanted against, well, not every Democrat would be against it probably, but yeah, it was the way it was. Yeah, it was all convoluted. If I didn't know to vote yes, I don't know. Yeah.
Frank LaRose had his way with us.
Yep.
Let's put it that way. And
And,
he had collusion.
and Teresa Gavarone played a part in that and on the ballot board. I mean, there was this little act during the meeting where she proposed the amendment that inserted the language that issue 1 would require gerrymandering.
yeah,
And I know that was the kiss of death for some people that actually read the ballot language and assumed that it was a fair and truthful summary of the amendment, which it was not.
and our law says that it's supposed to be a nonpartisan breakdown of what the amendment would do. So it really is just unbelievable that they got away with it, and we're gonna have to try again, I guess.
Well, the other thing that Mia had posted at one point, and I don't know how extensive this was with it, but in some counties, the way it came up on the voting machine was so long that it required people to go to the bottom and then go to the next page, so that likely some people didn't vote for it at all, one way or the other. But I don't know how that came out.
There's something like 16 counties, and Licking County is one of them. And I just assumed that it was there are at least 2, maybe 3 different kinds of voting machines that are used by different counties in Ohio. And I assumed it was a voting machine problem. But Franklin County uses exactly the same machine as Licking County. And Franklin County, you could just choose to vote yes or no at the top. You didn't have to even look at.
Franklin County did that on purpose because they knew that it was going to confuse people. So they made it really easy to just vote yes if you knew you were supposed to vote yes. The other counties did not do that. And that's one of the reasons they wrote the ballot language so long, because studies show that if people see something very lengthy and they're confused by it or overwhelmed by it, they're going to vote no because they just don't feel qualified. So that was part of the strategy, was making it, I think it was like 400 words. It might have been longer than that, 800 words.
900. I thought it was 900.
I think it was, 800 or 900. You're right. And so that was part of the strategy, was to make people feel like, oh, I just don't know this. I'm just going to vote no. And Franklin County did the best they could to try and mitigate some of that, but the other counties did not.
Right. Sylvia first and then Mike. Did you have your hand up again, or is that still left over? Okay. Mike?
Well, then when it was taken to our illustrious Supreme Court, what did they do? They said, yeah, Frank LaRose, you're right.
Yep.
And then, so I mean, yeah, it was truly the language. Janie and I worked the polls here in Pickerington, and in the polls they had that amendment up on. You had to put the amendment up on the wall.
Yes,
and we were told that if anybody came in and said they wanted us to read the amendment to them, we had to do it.
Yep.
900 words. And yeah, all you had, when you saw the first couple lines of the 900 words, you could see that it was totally tainted and false, incorrect. When they're telling people that if you vote yes, you are taking away people's rights to end gerrymandering. And so, if you can't, the Frank LaRose's mantra must be, if you can't win by winning, you win by cheating.
Yes, truly. I mean, one of the worst things
he did.
Yeah, one of the worst things he did was that he put the official illegal ballot language rather than the amendment language that would actually become law on the Secretary of State's website on voteohio.gov. So I had people sending that to me and being like, look, this is on the Secretary of State's website. This is clearly the language.
Yes.
And the only place you could find the actual language that would become law was the CNP website. And so people were trusting the official government website when that was where the lie was. And that's hard to overcome.
That's tough. Michelle has her hand up. Oh, no, it's Susan. I'm sorry. But Michelle, did you have your hand up before that? I'm not sure. Okay, Susan.
Yeah, I just wondered what the next step is with the gerrymandering issue. Is it just dead, or are they going to move forward and still push?
I think they've said they're taking a break to look at their options, because the fear is that if they just do it again next year, the same thing will occur. I do also think there's discussion about if we could win in a non-presidential year, because so many people just show up to vote for Trump, and then while they're there, they vote for all the down ballot Republican slate. So there's a talk about if it could pass if only people who are paying attention, who vote in off years, show up, that kind of thing. So they're definitely not done. I think they're just looking at their options.
Was there no way to call out the government on what they've done?
No.
We tried, but the problem is, how do you reach people? And I think this is my biggest takeaway from the election, other than how do you beat people who are just openly lying? How do you reach people in such a fragmented media consumption society where everybody gets their media from different places? Nobody watches the same TV shows. Nobody uses the same networks or streaming services. How do you get to enough people to make an impact when you're telling them about the corrupt government? I don't know the answer yet, other than being
door by door, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, door to door is going to be big. It really is.
Anne's got her hand up.
Yeah, this isn't much, but in 2 years, our congressional districts are going to be redrawn, because when they were drawn the last time, they didn't get enough support from the minority side. So because of the rules we have now, if you don't get enough support, they're redrawn after 4 years. So we will have a chance to monitor that. And I mean, I don't know that we can make an impact with it, but we can be there, we can speak out, we can point our finger at what it is they're doing or not doing. They played so many games the last time. But I mean, we do have laws in place that if they were followed, would improve the situation. So, I mean, that's a little thing.
And Democrats were able to pick up a couple seats. They picked up 2 seats in the Ohio House and 2 seats in the Ohio Senate under the new illegal, but new maps. And that is big in the House side, because that means the Democrats broke the 2/3 supermajority, which means that Republicans next year are not going to be able to move things with emergency clauses. They're not going to be able to force something into law immediately, like right before an election, for example. So that's big. And that happened because of these new maps, even though the maps were done illegally.
Do you think that was part of when Allison Russo got so lambasted for kind of playing nice with which it wasn't really playing nice, but she was trying to strategically position Democrats in a better way? Do you credit those wins with what she did toward the end?
I do. I mean, in retrospect, it was brilliant, because if they had voted against them, we might have ended up with worse maps next year when they're redrawn. Now that we know that people are not going to support all of the anti-gerrymandering amendments. So I didn't like it at the time, but I'm glad she did it now.
What about I saw a voting rights amendment that was being proposed. Do you know much about that?
Yes. So it's a very comprehensive voting rights amendment that would do a lot of wonderful things to help people access the ballot. And it had been rejected previously by Dave Yost for literally nothing except he didn't like the title, because the title is it's like the citizens voter rights. It's like a really happy, positive title that makes people support it. And he didn't like the title. And so they went to the Ohio Supreme Court, and the Ohio Supreme Court actually ruled in favor of the Ohio groups instead of Dave Yost for once. And so now he was forced to accept that amendment with its positive title. it's literally like the Voting Rights Act, like the Citizen Voting Rights Act or something. And they also, the ballot board agreed to keep it all as one issue, even though there's multiple ways that it improves access to the ballot. They were trying to split it up into multiple ballot initiatives. So you'd have to collect signatures for every part of it, but they didn't end up doing that. So I think their next goal is to start collecting signatures, and that should be happening here in the next year or two.
So then when would it be on the ballot? I mean, when it be going on?
It would be, they're not sure yet how long it's going to take them to collect signatures, because that'll be like, I don't think they have any money, so it'll all be volunteer led. But the signatures do not expire, so they could collect them for even a couple years and get on the ballot eventually.
That's a biggie. Well,
Yep.
I guess we know what of our jobs coming up is going to be.
Yep, for sure. Because a big thing is, like, when I was doing the Obama campaign in 2008, we had a week called Golden Week, where you could register to vote and vote in the same day. And that feels like a whole different lifetime ago in terms of voting rights. And so hundreds of thousands of Ohioans are probably not voting now who would have been voting then because of those different laws. So that is absolutely a key to doing anything.
I think we've got two, Michelle and then Susan. Michelle,
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question, Rachel, was I participated a lot in the Citizens Not Politicians, getting signatures and then knocking doors, and I heard I participated in a women's group that was saying that a lot of the people in West Geauga and Geauga County, north, I guess, eastern part of Ohio, didn't get the same literature as we did to pass out. Like, I always felt very like that I had all the resources that I needed to, like, knock on doors and tell people about Citizens Not Politicians or Issue 1. And I remember being on this call and somebody from Geauga County said, well, Michelle, you just don't understand that some places in Ohio don't get the resources that you do. But, like, they were free.
Mm-hmm.
Like the resources that, I mean, you know, if we wanted to donate, you know, obviously a little bit to cover the costs of certain things, we could. But I was under the assumption that, like, anybody could, like, call and they could get that the same, like, you know, leaflets or door hangers or whatever that we passed out on Issue 1. So that's what my question is, like, so does every county in Ohio, is that true? Like, certain counties don't get the same lit that we do?
Yes, unfortunately that is true. And it comes down to money, where, you know, everybody says, like, everybody mocks the Citizens Not Politicians for having donors, and that's why they had donors, to help them pay for that literature so the local groups didn't have to do it. But there wasn't enough money to pay for literature in every county, so they had to pick counties that would get the most. And I know that frustrated a lot of folks.
That's crazy. I mean, we had so much. I mean, like, from, you know, Mia's doorstep, you know, I could go there anytime to pick up extra literature, or even, like, the Delaware County, you know, Democratic Party. Like, I mean, I had too much, maybe.
Yep.
You know, I mean, like, I didn't, you know, recycle that much, but I mean, it was just, so that's very frustrating.
Yes, it really is.
I feel like the lit that we had was so easy to explain.
Yep. It was very good. I saw it.
Wanted to say something, I think.
Yeah, Julie has something.
Yes, the Fair Districts Coalition, the major partners were Common Cause and League of Women Voters. They did not discriminate by county.
No,
but
no.
If there was a breakdown there, it was a lack of a volunteer coordinator that could reach people in the areas that you're talking about. So but the problem was that, as I see it, is that different coalition partners joined at different times. So Fair Districts was right off the bat, and everything, Mia made sure she was both doing distribution for the whole state and for Central Ohio from her porch.
The whole state. I don't understand why West Geauga never got the lit.
And
Like
that's
she
part of
has
like
people up there.
CNP, like the Ohio groups are incredible. Julie is absolutely right. Like the Common Cause and the League of Women Voters and ACLU, like they are not. I think it was that there was like the national money was distributed differently. Like Julie said, there were not people hired to be the Geauga coordinator. So it would have to depend on like how you get out to Geauga from your other county to get them the lit. And Mia in Columbus was able to give everybody lit whenever they needed it. And so that would be like, if you had enough money to hire somebody in every county, but that would be a lot of money. So
I feel like there were people that I knew that were Moms Demand Action volunteers that were in Geauga. They were like they were in Cleveland, they were in Akron, they were in, they were in that area. And there were places that they could pick up the lit if they wanted to participate in, canvassing or getting signatures or whatever, like they were up there. I mean, I know they were because I communicated with them. And I think that it's insane that I was on that call and the lady said, and someone said, well, Michelle, some districts don't have as much money as your district. And I think that's ludicrous because that's not true. I mean, it's like, maybe it's true, but like we would have made it happen. I would have driven it up there. I used to live in Russell. I mean, it's just I just don't. There was a problem organizing, is what the issue is, and I mean, yeah, we have moms everywhere in Ohio, and I know that could have been resolved like so easily, and that call was, it was for some like women's group. I really don't know what I signed up for so many of these things I can't keep track, but that frustrated me because that means in Geauga, that means Geauga is not the only one, you know what I mean, that like couldn't get lit or didn't understand what this was way before, or maybe at the same time, but like before like the language was even changed. Before there was posters, before there was road signs out that said vote no. This was like, when we were educating people on what it was. And that's what I don't understand.
Again, I can say, I mean, Mia herself drove to Medina to meet somebody halfway coming from Northeastern Ohio to transfer boxes of lit from her trunk to their trunk. So I
bet she did.
She's amazing.
She was working at so many levels, including, how does she get something to me in Licking County when I wasn't free to keep driving back and forth to her porch. But so the problem was with, I would say, with, as you describe it, with the people that were talking to you, not linking up with the people that were distributing in Geauga County. And Mike and I both have access to a spreadsheet that would say who the contact person is for Geauga, or was for fair districts, but that's where the linkage was. And then other partners, like suddenly some unions in some areas came on, and other areas they didn't. So we had no union support in Licking County. But then suddenly the county Democratic parties had tons of stuff. So it came in waves. There was a lack of coordination at that level that I saw. And Mike has got
and Mike and then Cheryl. Thank you.
Fairfield County will speak.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, Cheryl had her hand up first.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, Cheryl.
Go and then we'll go to Mike.
I just wanted to comment that I was helping them unload thousands and thousands. I mean, I didn't really personally unload thousands and thousands of signs, but many hundreds when they came out for Citizens Not Politicians, and they had somebody come down from Cleveland and including Geauga County to get signs. So I know that they were distributing there or trying to. But I did know that a lot of people were doing, there's a lot of not the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing and vice versa. So that's my comment.
Yeah. I think I was more referring to the actual actual when I was knocking doors, like I was giving people information on it. I mean, because I think that's effective, but it was sort of like at the last, month or 2 months.
Mike's got something.
Yeah, some of what we're talking about has to do with this big issue we have of the urban-rural divide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was in charge of Fairfield County and Pickaway County. Okay, and I had a couple of people in Pickaway County to help out, and it just has, I just think that even we went down to Chillicothe one time with a whole group of people from Franklin and tried to get signatures there, or Circleville. I'm sorry, Circleville. But somehow in all of this, I mean, I think there was plenty of literature, but then there have to be people, and what you're talking about, Michelle, is probably slightly different.
Yeah.
There are people in Geauga that would have gladly received information. How that got, I don't know, watered down, I'm not sure, but here in this area, I don't think the people that were interested or even wanted to work on it were few. And then it makes me think about, well, all of us that are kind of centered around urban areas and have that mindset, it's a different mindset than what's out here.
Mm-hmm.
How do we bridge that gap? I think that's really a big question. I reach a brick wall when I think about it, because when I drive down in Pickaway County, very often, sadly in Fairfield County, I saw lots of Trump signs. And what bothered me, and I said this last time, is as Trump got more unhinged and unwound toward the end of the election, the more Trump signs went up around here. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it goes back to what we've said earlier about, and I think, Rachel, you alluded to it very well. People getting their information, how they get it. And I can just see people with Fox News on out in the country, and that's it. And nobody else can tell them anything. And how do we bridge that? I don't know. That's a problem. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Back.
I think Julie's got her hand up.
Hey, Michelle, it sounds like, is moms the group that you're primarily identified with?
Yeah. I mean, Moms Demand Action. Yeah.
And I certainly knew moms, volunteers from Central Ohio who allied with Fair Districts for this campaign. So maybe the problem is that the Ohio Moms Group didn't formally tie with the coalition, the Fair Districts Coalition.
Well, National did not. I mean, Moms Demand Action would not endorse Fair Districts. They told us that from the top. They never do. Like at the very last minute in the last election, did they support reproductive rights? The very last minute, like the last month. And so we knew they were probably not gonna support us, but it's our local groups. We do common cause. We work with Mia, Common Cause, and whatever she says, we do. Like, just because we're passionate about it. It's not necessarily related to moms, but that's who our people are. That's who our our colleagues, friends, whatever. We get together and we help her. But yeah, so and I was just, thank you, Rachel, for talking about the different Giaga and everybody. Thank you for explaining. I just didn't, because I think when Mia met that person halfway, I think that was because of my phone call to her about like, whoa.
I think
You gotta get material to Giaga.
I think if every county had Mia, like, and if we had the ability to pay somebody to do that kind of work in every county, it would have been different. But like Mia did so much more than I'm sure she was being paid for, and like that's incredible. But that probably did not exist in every county.
Right.
I think Linda's had her hand up a minute.
Yeah,
Linda
I'll
Rice.
take mine down.
Okay.
I'm watching the clock. I'm expecting my door.
Yeah, we're getting to the end here, but Linda, did you have something?
No, I didn't want to get into what, this is not quite what you were talking about. It's that I wanted to see what the other side was saying. So I recorded Fox News so that I could see what they were saying. It is so difficult to watch them because they are all innuendo and making fun of, and no fact type of stuff, no investigation. And how could they get away with that?
People let them.
I mean, does the other side look at our stations at all, I wonder?
Good
No,
question.
but I will say that on something like MSNBC, they regularly comment or say, this is what's being said on Fox. And they show a clip.
That's true. They do.
So, there is a difference there.
But it's
some of it,
you can't see how bad it is.
I think part of it is anger and grievance is like a drug for some people. And that
there are some people that do that.
And to some people, I mean, I want to be angry. I want to be upset.
Or I want to be one of the smart people who know better than everybody else.
Something like that. Karen Adams has her hand up.
Just real quickly, I've seen two things recently that I think most of the reason why they voted the way they did was to own the libs. I think they would rather die than be associated with us. They just think we are hoity-toity, elite people, and they just do not want to be us. They hate us, and I don't know how you overcome that.
Yeah, that's
other than being
but they're rich.
as kind as we can to everybody, and try to make them realize we're not evil.
That's part of it. Is there is an ongoing, and it's been years in the making, this like slight little references on Fox News and things like that to make it seem like people who are progressive and Democrats are not just that they disagree with you, but that they're evil, that they're bad people. So there's actually been movements in some places like Nelsonville, Ohio does a really good one where they have spaghetti dinner with Democrats. Like, come eat a meal with Democrats and see that we are normal people who live in your community and we're not like baby killing monsters, because it's been a lengthy campaign to dehumanize the other side. And it's going to take human interaction to fix it. And it's going to take a long time because you're right. They hate us in a way that is unreasonable unless you live in a community where everybody's a Republican and all your news mentions Democrats as bad, as cruel, as corrupt. And that's all you know. It really is. It's going to take a while, but the human interaction, the like little personal conversations that several people on here have mentioned that's how we get there. It's just going to be a long road.
Yeah.
One of the ways I
yeah.
was encountering, I'm sorry, did you have something else, Karen?
The only other thing, which just really was too dark for me, but someone on Instagram was saying that this has been a 20-year project by Russia to propagandize, and they've just done this mind control on so many Americans. And how you undo that is, who knows?
Yep. It's going to be a long, long route for us.
Some of you are old enough to remember when Khrushchev took his shoe and pounded on the table and said, basically, we were going to be eliminated from within, way back when. And guess what? That's, his fever dream is coming true. Hopefully it won't, but that's been you're right, a long-term strategy. One thing I had a comment from a former classmate, a high school classmate who was a Trump voter, and he posted on my Facebook page to say, I think you'd be more comfortable living in California. And he's from Ohio too. And I just said, well, this is my state just as it's yours, and I'm hoping that someday we can come together under the rule of law and the Constitution. Like, but it's insulting. It's, this is somebody that I actually knew fairly well, known all these years. To say something like that, like, please move out of the state, we don't want you. It's really upsetting. But you know what? That's, like you said, that's where they are. I mean, that they're hearing that and they're receiving a message that says we're all bad people. Anything else for the good of the order? We're so grateful, Rachel, to you for coming, and we got into way more than we were anticipating, and I hope you don't mind taking that extra time, but we were
it was great.
thrilled to have you with us. It's great. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order before we disband?
I want to tell you that I was in mourning. I didn't want to go anywhere or do anything, but there were some really good broadcasts. What's his name? Ali
Velci?
Yes, Ali Velci had a very good program afterwards. And President Clinton gave a good thing on, I think it was on Stephen Colbert. And so I'm ready to fight again.
Well, I think, we all have different capacities, and we all have to grieve and to recover in our own ways. So I think a lot of people in our indivisible group and probably within your communities have found ways to connect. It's really important to take care of yourselves as best you can, to listen to music, to go to do whatever you can that makes you feel like your spirit can take it before we get back into the fight.
I've been watching Christmas movies.
Yes, there you go. But there's a whole lot of things we can do. And I think part of it has to do with being grateful for what we do have and being grateful for each other, that we have each other, that we did not have back in 2016. None of us knew each other then at all. And we've got this huge, huge network. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we've had 200 new members sign up for Indivisible just since the election.
Wow.
Just in 2 weeks. And so, I mean, we're going to have more and more and more people, and we just need to keep in contact. We need to keep nurturing each other and ourselves, and taking breaks as we need them, but jumping back in when we can, and celebrating people like Rachel who keep us on the straight and narrow. Thanks so much. Anybody else have anything before we go? Thank you all for coming, and welcome again to our new folks, Deb and Jim, and we have a few others that don't join us all the time, but we're very glad to have you with us. So thanks so much for coming, and thanks especially to you, Rachel. Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye.
I'll stay on until we get the chat. And then we have recorded it, so we'll send it out to those who didn't get to hear it. Thanks again. Okay, I'll hang on for a while. We stop recording first. I think you're muted.
I need to be able to stop the recording, and when I go to the record button, there's no place to stop it.
Oh, okay. Huh.
We did that before. Wonder what it was. Let me download the chat, save the chat. Okay, did that. Show and
Yeah, I think you
follow.
had to take the tail off again that last time.
Okay, I've saved the chat.
Okay.
Let's see, maybe it's under more for stop recording.
Could be.
Up here, recording. Huh. I'm not I'm not seeing where I can stop it. Oh, this meeting is being recorded. I'm going to say okay. Now let me try stopping it again, Doug.
Okay.
I don't know how to stop it.
Hmm.
Because when I push on record, why don't you go back? Oh, wait a minute. No, more.
Okay, I just hit a button. Here we go.